Daniel Defoe, Robinson Crusoe, Part 22. And now I was once more delivered from the most miserable of all conditions of life, and what to do next with myself I was to consider. The Negro's treatment the captain gave me I can never enough remember. He would take nothing of me for my passage, gave me 20 ducats for the leopard skin and 40 for the lion skin, which I had in my boat, and caused everything I had in the ship to be punctually delivered to me, and what I was willing to sell he bought of me, such as the case of bottles, 2 of my guns, and a piece of the lamp of beeswax, for I had made candles of the rest. In a word, I made about 220 pieces of 8 of all my cargo, and with this stock I went on shore in the Brazils. I had not been long here before I was recommended to the house of good, honest men like himself, who had an ingenue, as they call it, that is a plantation and a sugar house. I lived with him some time and acquainted myself by that means with the manner of planting and making of sugar, and seeing how well the planters lived and how they got rich suddenly, I resolved if I could get a license to settle there, I would turn planter among them, resolving in the meantime to find out some way to get my money, which I had left in London, remitted to me. To this purpose, getting a kind of letter of naturalization, I purchased as much land that was incurred as my money would reach, and formed a plan for my plantation and settlement, such a one as might be suitable to the stock which I proposed to myself to receive from England. I had a neighbor, a Portuguese of Lisbon, but born of English parents, whose name was Wells, and in much such circumstances as I was. I call him my neighbor because his plantation lay next to mine, and we went on very sociably together. My stock was but low as well as his, and we rather planted for food than anything else for about 2 years. However, we began to increase, and our land began to come into order, so that the third year we planted some tobacco, and made each of us a large piece of ground ready for planting canes in the year to come. But we both wanted help, and now I found more than before I had done wrong in parting with my boy Xuri. But alas, for me to do wrong that never did right was no great wonder. I hail no remedy but to go on. I had got into an employment quite remote to my genius, and directly contrary to the life I delighted in, and for which I forsook my father's house and broke through all his good advice. Nay, I was coming into the very middle station, or upper degree of low life, which my father advised me to before, and which, if I resolved to go on with, I might as well have stayed at home and never have fatigued myself in the world as I had done. And I used often to say to myself, I could have done this as well in England among my friends as have gone 5,000 miles off to do it among strangers, and sav- savages in a wilderness and at such a distance as never to hear from any part of the world that had the least knowledge of me. In this manner, I used to look upon my condition with the utmost regret. I had nobody to converse with, but now and then this neighbor, no work to be done but by the labor of my hands. And they used to say, I live just like a man cast away upon some desolate island that had nobody there but himself. But now, just as it been, and how should all men reflect that when they compare their present conditions with others that are worse, heaven may oblige them to make the exchange and be convinced of their former reality by their experience. I say, how just has it been that the truly solitary life I reflected on in an island of mere desolation should be my lot.